What's up, internet? It's your boy, Hot Noodle. I'm trying to get to the tabs and shit. Anyway, yeah, so I make animations at xCephasx Studios. I'm the creative director there. So if you need anything for your company or whatever the fuck, just holler at us. All right, guys, so why is music getting bad or worse or, I don't know, going on a decline? Is this a photo of like trees or is that like a nuclear explosion where there's a skull in the background? This is a dark ass nigga, man. You dark, bro. All right. Let's listen to the prof.
Hey everybody, I'm Rick Beato. We're going to try something new today. This video is on the history of the music business and technology in two acts. Act 1. Music is too easy to make.
Relax, guys. First of all, we're not watching this video at this speed, man. What am I, a fucking old geezer? I'll at least watch it at 1.5, bro. Let's go!
What do I mean by music is too easy to make? Let's just go back to the 1940s and 50s. Frank Sinatra used to get up in front of an orchestra and sing a vocal take, and they had one microphone. And they would get it balanced just right. Frank would say, okay, I'm ready to do it, and he'd sing it.
Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru.
Then you get into the 1960s or so, and then you have things where you have multi-track machines. You could go in if you had a mistake in a vocal part or any instrument, and you do a punch-in. Oh, I don't like that word, I sang it out of tune, or I want to change this lyric. You go in and you just punch in, fix the line, punch out. Fast forward to 1998, the Cher, the Believe song. They invented this thing, Auto-Tune. That I've talked about this a million times on here. But Auto-Tune was a plug-in that would go into these DAWs, digital audio workstations. So you'd have something like Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton. What you do is you take the vocal, let's say the song's in C major. Any note in the key of C major, it would tune the note to. Well, T-Pain and people like that realized if you put it on a really hard tuning, it would make it sound like a keyboard. And that's what they did in the Believe song. Well, then the same thing starts happening with drum parts. Guys playing a drum part and you're like, you know what? This would be a great take of this first verse if this one hi-hat wasn't a little drag. Well, let's move it back a little bit. Or let's move it forward, whatever. And then you move that and you're like, well, the snare after it kind of sounds weird because we moved that forward. Now the snare sounds like it's dragged, so we do that. Then you're like, well, you know what? Let's just look at the grid lines, the bar lines, and we'll just move them to that. Then you start cutting out and moving them. Then they give you this tool called Beat Detective. Then you can actually quantize an entire part. So then it becomes like a drum machine. So it's not human-like. Here's an example of a quantized drum part. It's John Bonham's drum performance from Fool in the Rain. That's a shuffle. Here's what it sounds like as a machine. Now here's the...
That's the truth. When you're having quantization, you kind of don't want to quantize everything too much. You kind of want to quantize things so there's a little bit of space. That's why it's also important to put a little bit of swing on your production when you're making it, because that just gives you a little bit more of that human flow, because humans are not fucking robots, and so we do not play things perfectly. So when things are played too perfectly, that's how you kind of know, oh, this was not a human person doing it. But that's okay, you know? That's okay. I really want to know how much information
human performance of John Bonham. Notice the swing in it.
What the fuck did I just say, bro, about swing, man? Let's fucking go!
Once you quantize the drum part, it's a drum machine. It's just like Superior Drums. So what started happening in the year 2000 or so is that everyone started quantizing their drums because the budgets to hire session guys like Josh Freese and Kenny Aronoff went away, and you'd have to use the crappy drummers. I mean, some bands would have good enough drummers to play, but you typically have these crappy drummers that you'd have to fix their parts. And once you fix their parts, you start moving the bass around, you start moving the guitars around, and then you pretty much have sterile, generic, quantized rock music that has no vibe at all. The other thing that people realize is that it's really difficult and time-consuming to record a drum set. You need a studio and a lot of gear. Look at all these mics. Now, you can put up 3 mics and get a drum sound. You can put up 2 mics and get a drum sound. But to get a professional drum sound, you tend to mic up the different instruments. I got 2 mics on the bass drum. I got a mic on this tom, mic on that tom, mic on the ride, 2 mics on the overheads, 2 mics on the snare here.
That's fucking super gay, bro. That's the gayest thing I've ever seen. Why the fuck would you do that? Like, FL Studio just has the drum sounds, you plug them in and you play it. Like, I guess the way he was saying about music is too easy. I guess he's not wrong about that. But it's actually more fun. Like this thing, oh, come on, man. You'd have to be like, the only people who enjoy things like this are technical nerds, bro.
I actually have 3 mics on the snare and a mic on the hi-hat. And I have a couple. It's difficult to get a good guitar sound. You have to have a good sounding amp. You have to have good sounding speakers, good microphones that work well. Most people now just use amp modelers. They plug into their computer, they pull up their program, everything is done for them. They've already been pre-mic'd, pre-selected. They're all using the same algorithms. They can create great sounds. They're so easy to use. Doesn't take any skill at all, but it doesn't take any creativity either. Then of course you have the MIDI packs that you can buy if you can't play keyboard. So it'll just have pre-programmed chord progressions, because for some reason people can't just kind of space their fingers out and learn to play a few chords like that. Or maybe just experiment. What is this? What is this? In the early 2000s, labels stopped signing rock bands, essentially, because it was way too resource intensive. It was far easier to sign artists that could make their own music using a laptop and a microphone. Why is this a bad thing? Well, let's start with the creative dependency on technology limits the ability of people to innovate, I believe. Could be wrong about that. Maybe it helps them innovate. I don't think so, though.
It does, old man. It does, old man. Because I think with the advent of technology, it allows you to mix and match different pieces of technology to create original sounds. Something like Aphex Twin's album would not have been made without that sort of ingenious sort of like ability to create things, like to mix match all these different ideas. That album was so innovative. To this day, with our modern technology, we still cannot create the sounds from that Aphex Twin album. And that album was made in the early 2000s, late 90s. So 1 for the Negro, 0 for the old man. Let's go, baby. Let's fucking go!
Homogenization of music. The over-reliance on similar tools, as I just brought up with the amp models, creates a lack of diversity. I think that leads to music becoming more formulaic and people just following trends of using certain types of sounds. This is why these trap beats have been in vogue for the last 20 years. People they know they work, so they just keep using them all the time. Quality versus quantity. This is a big, big thing. Okay, so the easier production makes the process go faster, which creates an oversaturation of music, making it harder to find really exceptional things, as Ted Gioia talks about in this clip.
This is Spotify's way of using AI. They have AI songs, they attribute them to people that don't exist, and this allows them to take royalties that would go to musicians and keep them for themselves.
On the AI front related to music is...
If that's not genius, I don't know what is, bro. They upload AI music to their platform and then feed it to people that don't even know you're listening to the AI song, and then they take the royalties and streamings from that to then make more money. That's what I'm fucking talking about, bro. That is poor ethics and poor business morals. Let's fucking go, man. That's what I'm fucking talking about, man. When you talk about business, you talk about sharks and piranhas. Only the dirty of the dirty can make it to the top, man. You ain't making it to the top of the business game or the music game without being fucking dirty, nigga? You think you're gonna make it to the top being clean? Pussy, nigga, let's go.
Too easy to make. I made a video last week called I Told You This Was Going to Happen, and I played some songs off Udio, and I was saying how my kids could detect that they were AI songs, but other people could not. Well, it just came out. All 3 major labels are suing AI startups for copyright infringement. Universal Music Group, Sony Music, and Warner Music are suing Suno and Udio for copyright infringement because guess what? They're using all their music to train these AI models. Well, of course they are. How else are they going to train it? Now, companies like Universal are not doing it for the good of their music.
I love Suno, but fuck, man. Young niggas are coming after those niggas. I love making shit on Suno, man. It's especially great for using for sample chops. Like, if you're going to chop up samples and use a song to sample, it's especially great for that. Like, you look at something like BBL Drizzy. That was made on, like, something like Suno.
Protect their copyright owners. What's going on here is they just announced that they're partnering with a company called SoundLab to make AI models of their artists for themselves. They can use this SoundLab plugin in Pro Tools or Logic, and you can sing your own voice and replace it with one of their artists like Drake or Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish or whoever agrees to this. And I guarantee you all these labels are going to do that because they want to own the AI versions of these songs. Whether you create it or whether they create it, they're going to own it. And just to show you how easy it is to model someone's voice with AI, I'm speaking to you through a voice modeling program called 11 Labs that was trained on my voice over a 4-week period. So for those of you that keep writing to me every day, I get about 20 of these a day, and they always start, Rick, I wrote a song that I think could be a hit. I used AI to hear it because I know nothing about making music. That's literally from an email I got yesterday. This reminds me of the best AI critique I've seen. Creative AI tools can be seen as sophisticated plagiarism software, as they do not produce genuinely original content, but rather emulate and modify existing works by artists subtly enough to circumvent copyright laws. Well, what's funny about that is that was actually written by ChatGPT. Act 2.
Let's fucking go! All right, guys. This is a little bit too, a little bit too dry for me, but I appreciate the initiative. I appreciate the initiative. I don't know what's going on with my speech lately, but I'm just not. No, we're there. We're all here. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video that I do. And on that note,